We're live from New Delhi. You're watching DD India News, India's voice to the world. I'm Lipakshi Khurana. Coming up in the next hour. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy gets a warm welcome at Downing Street in London ahead of European leaders' key summit. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer assures Ukraine of UK's full backing. Israel approves the US proposal to extend truce in Gaza through Muslim holy month of Ramadan and Jewish Passover holiday in mid-April. Kurdistan Workers' Party declares ceasefire with Turkey after more than 40 years of conflict. President Tayyip Erdogan warns Turkey will resume operations against PKK if disarmament stalls. 4 die among 51 workers rescued from avalanche-hit BRO camp in the Chamoli district in the Himalayan state of Uttarakhand. Rescuers race against time to trace 4 more labourers feared trapped. And in cricket, India to face New Zealand in the final Group A match of the Champions Trophy in Dubai. And on to the details now. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy received a warm welcome at 10 Downing Street on Saturday, a stark contrast to his tense meeting with US President Donald Trump at the White House the previous day. Zelenskyy was greeted with hugs and handshakes by UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer and expressed gratitude to the British people for their support.
Very welcome here in Downing Street. As you heard from the cheers on the street outside, you have full backing across the United Kingdom. And we stand with you, with Ukraine, for as long as it may take. And I hope you've heard some of that cheering in the street. That is the people of the United Kingdom coming out to demonstrate how much they support you, how much they support Ukraine, and our absolute determination to stand with you, unwavering determination, and to achieve what we both want to achieve, which is a lasting peace for Ukraine based on sovereignty and security for Ukraine.
Well, during his visit, Zelenskyy also witnessed the signing of a £2.26 billion loan agreement between the UK and Ukraine. The loan, facilitated by British Finance Minister Rachel Reeves, will be repaid using profits from frozen Russian assets.
Well, thank you very much. And that's our side of it. And in the next few days, the disbursements of money, we should be able to make those to Ukraine. I know that they are needed as quickly as possible. Thank you so much, Minister, for being able to join us today.
Well, Zelenskyy's visit to London is part of a broader European tour, which includes a summit with European leaders on Sunday and a meeting with King Charles. The Ukrainian leader's diplomatic efforts come amid ongoing tensions with Russia. And for more on this, we have DD India correspondent Akhilesh Suman joining us. Well, Akhilesh, how significant is the £2.26 billion loan agreement between the UK and Ukraine, and what impact do you think it will have on Ukraine's ongoing efforts in its conflict with Russia?
This is a very symbolic gesture from the side of Britain, because the way, Mr. Zelenskyy was treated in Washington, D.C., and the whole visuals the world has seen. And in a way, it is also a hint that U.S. is not going to help Ukraine the way it was doing earlier. So Britain has, extended its help. But that is not enough. The way Ukraine is in fight with Russia, this type of loans are not going to help too much, because US has been helping Ukraine in the way it is one of the largest scale in the weaponry, in the money, everything. So that is why that you have seen that today there is a summit of European leaders, and Canada's Prime Minister is also coming in that, and 14 leaders of Europe are participating in that. So I think they also want to give some hint to, President Trump that yes, Europe is behind Ukraine's cause. Europe is behind Ukraine's, President Zelenskyy, and there is a need to, create a rapprochement between the U.S., Ukraine, and European Union. And that is why Italian Prime Minister has, suggested that there should be a summit meeting between European Union and also U.S. on the issue of Ukraine. So I think things are going in a very churning stage. Every party, every stakeholder is trying to, find a situation when peace in Ukraine should be established, but also there should be a message to Russia also that yes, Europe is behind it. The way, in Washington, D.C., there was a feeling that, U.S. and Zelenskyy, U.S. and Ukraine are not on the same page. So I think this is going to be a very unique development in London today. And also you have seen that, there is also suggestion that, Europe and Russia should also talk on this issue of Ukraine. So they are not giving to leave it only on U.S., they also want to talk to Russian President Putin, so that you can have direct link with the related parties. So it is very interesting situation today, and we will see that what happens. And in between, some reports have come that on March 6th, next week, Zelenskyy might be having a summit meeting with the European Union, and they can talk together on what should be the way forward. So I think it is going to be very important meeting that day,
Right, indeed, much needs to be seen out there. Akhilesh, also Zelenskyy's warm reception in the UK contrast with his tense meeting with President Trump the day before, as you mentioned. How do you think these different receptions reflect the state of international support for Ukraine in its war with Russia?
This is always an issue that every party, everyone in the international stage, they want peace in, Ukraine. They want that, the whole economic situation that is gripping the world because of Russia-Ukraine conflict should be avoided. And that is why, there was a suggestion from President Trump that you should negotiate. President Trump sent his envoy in Riyadh, and Russian and, American envoys talk together. And then he also sent his envoy in Ukraine and General Kellogg, and he talked to his counterpart in Ukraine. So I think these things were going on. But, that in sometimes it happens in diplomacy that you go above board. And I think this has happened in Washington, D.C., that President Zelenskyy and President Trump could not, maintain the decorum that is well accepted in, diplomatic arena, that you have to negotiate behind the curtain, and you have to talk something good in front of the camera, in front of the world. So this protocol was not maintained, and that is creating chaos in the whole world, that what will happen. But in between, there is a silver lining from US that President Trump has said that if you want peace, we can talk again. So the doors are not closed. All parties are trying to, wield their own pressure over Mr. Trump. And also, I think this will be a good lesson for Mr. Zelenskyy also, that decorum should be maintained. So I think in coming days, both parties will come together. And in between, if European Union can talk to Russian president, that will be, icing on the cake, that yes, there is talk from all sides. Because,
all right,
2 months earlier, no one was talking to Russia. So I think this is a good initiative that everyone will talk, and everyone is willing to talk to President Putin now.
Absolutely. Yes. Thank you so much, Akhilesh, for all those insights. And moving on, Polish President Andrzej Duda said on Saturday he sees no other power in the world than the US that could stop Russian attack on Ukraine, and that Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy should get back to negotiations with Washington.
Zelenskyy should return to the negotiating table with the US. He should sit down calmly at the table and negotiate a solution which will make Ukraine safe. And we, who are Ukraine's ally and have been supporting Ukraine since its start, we will support him in achieving a secure and lasting peace, because we are also very much relying on this peace. This is in Poland's interest, that Ukraine is at peace, that the war ends, and that it ends in such a way that Russia cannot attack anyone else. This is what is most important to us today. That requires, in my personal opinion, a return to the negotiating table.
All right, and NATO chief Mark Rutte said on Saturday he told Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy that he needed to find a way to restore his relationship with US President Donald Trump.
What Trump is trying to do is to get peace in Ukraine. What he has done is make that opening towards Russia. I think that was a good step. That had to happen sometime too. Now we have to make sure we work very well together. We will be in London tomorrow. Dutch Prime Minister will be there. Other European leaders will be there to talk. So what can Europe do when a deal comes in to actually make sure that deal is permanent, so that Russia does not try it again? Europe can do that, and you see, really, America taking leadership here.
Well, German Foreign Minister Annalena Baerbock said that the European Council needs to take decisions on massive investment in a common European defence capability, urging that domestic and EU budget rules are loosened to allow support for Ukraine.
The European Council therefore also needs to take decisions on massive investment in our common European defence capability. I am therefore doing everything I can to ensure that the European Council contributes to this by making the EU Stability and Growth Pact more flexible.
Well, Israel has agreed to a US-backed proposal to extend a truce in Gaza, covering the Muslim holy month of Ramadan and the Jewish Passover holiday in April. This temporary ceasefire aims to maintain calm during these significant religious periods. And according to Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office, the extension was proposed by US President Donald Trump's Middle East envoy Steve Witkoff. The initial phase of the ceasefire, which took effect on January 19th, expired on Saturday. A second phase was intended to secure the release of dozens of hostages held in Gaza and pave the way for lasting peace. Well, the extension provides a critical window for renewed negotiations, but the long-term prospects for a permanent ceasefire still remain uncertain. And a large gathering of demonstrators in Israel's Tel Aviv expressed urgency for the immediate release of 59 hostages still held in Gaza. The first phase of the ceasefire has come to an end, amplifying concerns for the captives' safety. Families and supporters held photos and flags, underscoring the emotional toll of the ongoing hostage crisis. The crowd emphasized the need for swift action to secure the hostages' freedom. As the situation remains unresolved, the gathering served as a poignant reminder of the human cost of the conflict. With time running out, the focus remains on negotiating the safe release of the hostages. While the first phase of the Gaza ceasefire ended on Saturday, the 6-week-long ceasefire took effect on January 19th after more than 15 months of conflict sparked by Hamas's October 7, 2023 attack on Israel, the deadliest in the country's history. Well, over the initial 6-week phase, Hamas freed 25 living hostages and returned the bodies of 8 others to Israel in exchange for hundreds of Palestinian prisoners held in Israeli jails. The ceasefire has mostly held during its first 6 weeks, although both sides have accused each other of breaches, particularly in the treatment of Israeli hostages and Palestinian detainees and in the handling of releases. Gaza Truce faces uncertainty as negotiations on the next stage, aiming to secure a permanent ceasefire, have so far been inconclusive. A second phase of the fragile truce was supposed to secure the release of dozens of hostages still in Gaza and pave the way for a more permanent end to the conflict. Well, of the 251 hostages seized during Hamas's attack, 58 are still held in Gaza, including 34 the Israel military says are dead. And U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has expedited the delivery of $4 billion in military aid to Israel, citing the country's fragile ceasefire with Hamas. The Trump administration has approved nearly $12 billion in military sales to Israel, underscoring its commitment to the country's security. The Pentagon has also approved a potential $3 billion arms sales, notifying Congress on an emergency basis. This marks the second time in recent weeks the administration has used emergency authority to approve arms sale to Israel. The move comes amid a fragile ceasefire between Israel and Hamas, which has halted 15 months of fighting and paved the way for talks on ending the war. And still to come in DD India News Hour. U.S. federal workers hit with second wave of emails. Yamandu Orsi takes office as Uruguay's president. And Vatican says Pope Francis remains in stable condition.
In a world increasingly shaped by climate challenges, we are all exposed to new risks. But efforts are being made to tackle these challenges.
Once you have per square kilometer accurate data, they will start mobilizing actions, and the top-down folks, will have an ability to focus on specific parts where the problem is.
By using locally grown food, we can not only reduce our impact on the climate, but also prevent lifestyle diseases.
I think this is extremely important to have this kind of community level engagement. And some of these awareness programs I am aware of are also providing some individual level strategy to really adapt to the situations.
We have community radio stations. We also have door-to-door information drives.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News. I'm Lipakshi Kuran. Moving on, Uruguay is set for the political shift to the centre-left as Yamandu Orsi took office on Saturday as the country's next president. Orsi, a 57-year-old former mayor who was backed by leftist ex-president Joseph Mujica, narrowly won the November election against the ruling centre-right coalition. As a moderate, Orsi has promised to strike a different balance between social welfare and economic growth by ushering in what he described as a modern left agenda. Orsi delivered his first address to the people at Independence Square, saying a future and a challenge await for Uruguay.
This country has been governed by different parties, but always taking care of and respecting the identity and ideas of each one. A future and a challenge await us. But undoubtedly, if we always have in mind that sensitivity that must be here, that sensitivity that those who preceded us have had, the heart and reason poured into the destiny of our homeland, have no doubt that the future will be adventurous. Thank you very much.
Well, Union Minister of State for External Affairs Pabitra Margarita represented India at the swearing-in ceremony of Uruguay's President Yamandu Orsi and Vice President Carolina Cose. Minister conveyed warm greetings and felicitations from the Prime Minister of India to the new government of Uruguay. Minister congratulated to the people of Uruguay on this historic occasion. Minister said that he looks forward to collaborating with the new government to further strengthen the India-Uruguay partnership. And in a historic move, the Kurdistan Workers' Party has declared an immediate ceasefire and announced plans to disarm, responding to the call of its jailed leader, Abdullah Öcalan. The announcement marks a crucial step towards ending the 4-decade-long conflict with Turkey. However, the group stresses that certain political and democratic conditions must be met for lasting peace.
A historic shift in Turkey's long-running conflict with Kurdish militants. Outlawed Kurdish rebels have declared a ceasefire, responding to a landmark appeal from jailed PKK leader Abdullah Öcalan, who has urged the group to disband and end over 40 years of armed struggle.
Convene the Congress and take a decision to integrate with the state and society. All groups must lay their arms and the PKK must dissolve itself.
Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has welcomed the move, calling it a new stage in Turkey's fight against terror. However, he warned that Ankara will closely monitor whether the ceasefire is fully upheld.
Almost all of the excuses that the terrorist organization used as a tool for exploitation for a period of time have either been eliminated, resolved, or the solution has been put in place. The efforts for a terrorism-free Turkey have entered a new phase as of. We have the opportunity to take a historic step on the path to the goal of tearing down the wall of terrorism that has been built between a 1,000-year-old brotherhood.
The United Nations has also praised Öcalan's appeal, calling it a glimmer of hope for lasting peace.
I think we've all seen the reports coming out of Turkey regarding Abdullah Öcalan, the imprisoned leader of the Kurdistan Workers' Party, the PKK, and his message calling for his fighters to lay down their arms and for the PKK to dissolve itself. The Secretary General welcomes this important development. This represents a glimmer of hope which would lead to a resolution of a long-standing conflict.
Meanwhile, scenes of celebration erupted across Kurdish communities in Syria, Iraq and Turkey as thousands took to the streets, hoping that this marks the end of decades of bloodshed.
Today it's an amazing day, historical day. Everyone on the whole world and all the part of Kurdistan is waiting for this amazing day. Actually, the statement of the population is amazing.
But with deep-rooted tensions and past ceasefires collapsing, the world watches closely. Will this be the moment that finally ends the conflict or not? With Bureau Inputs, Amish Mahajan's report for DD India.
Well, Turkey President Recep Tayyip Erdogan warned that Turkey would pursue anti-PKK fight unless the group kept their pledge to disband. Speaking at an event in Istanbul on the first day of the Muslim holy month of Ramadan, Erdogan said Turkey will resume operations against the PKK if the disarmament process is stalled, and assured families that the process would not hinder counter-terrorism.
Turkey is
the most powerful, capable and resilient country not only in our region but also in the world in terms of fighting terrorism within and outside its borders. If the promises given are not kept and the process is somehow tried to evolve into oriental tricks such as telling, delaying, deceiving, changing names and doing whatever it wants, we cannot be blamed for what happens. We will continue our ongoing operation if necessary, without leaving a single stone standing, without leaving heads on shoulders, until the last terrorist is eliminated.
Well, Pope Francis, who has been hospitalized for over 2 weeks with double pneumonia, remains in stable condition. The 88-year-old pontiff showed signs of improvement with no recurrence of the previous day's respiratory crisis. Vatican said Pope spent extended periods of non-invasive mechanical ventilation, indicating better lung function. The Vatican also said that Pope did not have a fever and did not show signs of new infection, adding that the prognosis was still guarded, meaning he was not yet out of danger. Braving the rain, healthcare workers from Germany hospital where Pope Francis is undergoing treatment for double pneumonia made a pilgrimage to St. Peter's Basilica on Saturday. Hundreds of hospital staff holding umbrellas walked down the Via della Conciliazione, a road leading up to St. Peter's Basilica at the Vatican, praying for Pope Francis. The pilgrimage was part of the Jubilee audience with the Pope, which was cancelled after he had been in hospital for just over 2 weeks fighting double pneumonia. On Saturday morning, the Vatican said the Pope had a peaceful night and had been resting after a health setback the day before. A Vatican official who did not wish to be named because he was not authorized to discuss the Pope's health said Francis had not had another respiratory crisis since then.
I work for a better health and lifestyle for all of the people, and that's my will, and in a certain way is my faith, and is something that is strange to not be close to Pope in this time, but not so physically close, we feel him always very close to us.
I'm worried, I have to say this, because we don't know if Pope can, we are praying for him because we don't know if he could feel better someday. We hope so, and I think that we are praying for him too when we are going in San Pietro. So we're praying for ourselves, for people we love, but also for him.
Well, moving on, a devastating bus collision in southern Bolivia has claimed the lives of at least 37 people, including 8 minors, in the country's worst bus accident this year. The crash occurred on a narrow two-way road near the city of Uyuni in the department of Potosí. Authorities say one of the bus drivers was under the influence of alcohol and speeding when he crashed into the oncoming vehicle. Bolivia's winding mountain roads are notorious for deadly accidents, with an average of 1,400 fatalities annually. The accident comes less than 2 weeks after another bus crash killed 30 people in southern Bolivia. The country's road safety record is a growing concern, with many calling for improved measures to prevent such tragedies. Well, the Trump administration sent out a second round of emails on Friday evening demanding all federal employees to summarize their work over the past week. The emails from the government's human resources arm, the U.S. Office of Personnel Management, were sent to multiple agencies. The move marks a renewed push by Elon Musk and his Department of Government Efficiency team to assess the performance of government employees. This comes as the administration looks to mass layoffs to dramatically trim the federal footprint. And U.S. President Donald Trump on Saturday ordered a new trade investigation that could heap more tariffs on imported lumber, adding to existing duties on Canadian softwood lumber and 25% tariffs on all Canadian and Mexican goods due next week. In his third new tariff probe in a week, Trump signed a memo ordering Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick to initiate a national security investigation into U.S. lumber imports under Section 232 of the Trade Expansion Act of 1962. The trade law is the one Trump also used to impose tariffs on global steel and aluminum imports. The probe covers derivative products made from lumber, which could include furniture such as kitchen cabinets, which in some cases are made of U.S. lumber that had been exported. Well, the order said the Commerce Department investigation must be completed within 270 days. And U.S. President Trump has signed an executive order designating English as the official language of the United States. The move aims to promote national unity and cohesion, citing English as the country's founding language. The order revokes a Clinton-era mandate requiring federal agencies to provide non-English language assistance. While agencies will still offer support in other languages, the decision has sparked controversy. The U.S. is home to over 350 languages, with nearly 68 million people speaking a language other than English at home. Critics argue the move may marginalize non-English speakers, while supporters see it as a step towards national unity. Well, a U.S. judge on Saturday declared President Donald Trump's firing of the head of the federal watchdog agency illegal in an early test of the scope of presidential power, likely to be decided at the U.S. Supreme Court. The case revolves around the White House's February 7th dismissal of Hampton Dellinger, chief of the Office of Special Counsel. U.S. District Judge Amy Berman Jackson in Washington had previously ruled Hampton Dellinger, the head of the Office of Special Counsel, who is responsible for protecting whistleblowers, could remain in his post pending a ruling. Well, the Justice Department filed a notice late on Saturday saying they were appealing Berman's ruling to the U.S. Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia. Dellinger was appointed by Democratic President Joe Biden and was approved by the Senate to a 5-year term last year. Also, the U.S. is deploying nearly 3,000 additional troops to its Mexico border, bringing the total to around 9,000. This move is part of President Trump's border security efforts, a key priority since he declared a national emergency on his first day in office. The troops will assist in detection, monitoring and administrative tasks, however, will not be involved in interdiction or deportation operations. Trump hailed his administration's efforts, stating that the invasion of our country is over. Also, Pentagon Chief Pete Hegseth visited the southern border last month, vowing to get control of this border and warning drug cartels that all options are on the table. Hegseth also mentioned using Defense Department assets to support detention and expulsion of illegal immigrants, including the Guantanamo Bay base. Trump plans to hold up to 30,000 migrants at the base, despite its notorious past. And still to come in DD India News Hour. Guyana's president announces Venezuelan incursion in offshore oil field. Namibian bids a farewell to independence leader Sam Nujoma. And Prime Minister Modi extends Ramadan wishes as holy month begins.
India is known as the land of yoga. Few extraordinary individuals have taken this magic of ancient wisdom to people around the world.
Paramahansa Yogananda taught that, the basic law of right human behavior is self-reform. And that means if we can put the majority of our effort to changing ourselves for the better, then we will influence others in the world by our example. India has its ancient teachings of yoga has a real place to play in the developing world civilization. And what it means to be a global citizen, to consider the whole world kind of in your embrace.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News. I'm Lipak Shikuran, and time now for a quick recap of the headlines. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy gets a warm welcome at Downing Street in London ahead of European leaders' key summit. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer assures Ukraine of UK's full backing. Israel approves the US proposal to extend truce in Gaza through Muslim holy month of Ramadan and Jewish Passover holiday in mid-April. Kurdistan Workers' Party declares ceasefire with Turkey after more than 40 years of conflict. President Tayyip Erdogan warns Turkey will resume operations against PKK if disarmament stalls. Well, the holy month of Ramadan commenced today in India and other parts of Asia after the sighting of the crescent moon on Saturday. Ramadan is a sacred month in Islam that falls in the 9th month of the Hijri or Islamic lunar calendar. Fasting in Ramadan, the 9th and the holiest month in the Islamic calendar, is one of the 5 pillars of Islam. And this is the time of the year when religious fervor is rekindled throughout the Muslim world. This holy month, during which hundreds of millions of faithful around the world observe a daytime fast, traditionally begins with the sighting of the crescent moon. In Saudi Arabia and most Sunni-related Middle Eastern states, Ramadan had begun on Saturday. Prime Minister Modi also extended greetings on the occasion of start of holy month of Ramadan. PM wrote on social media platform X that as the blessed month of Ramadan begins, may it bring peace and harmony in our society. This sacred month epitomizes reflection, gratitude and devotion, also reminding us of the values of compassion, kindness and service. Ramzan Mubarak, he said. And in Bangladesh, the holy month of Ramadan of 1446 Hijri begins on Sunday as the new moon was sighted in the sky of Bangladesh on Saturday. The decision was taken at a meeting of the National Moon Sighting Committee held at the conference room of Islamic Foundation at Baitul Mukarram National Mosque, Dhaka on Saturday evening. Muslims are meant to fast from dawn to dusk during the Ramadan, a time of restraint and austerity. Ramadan, also known as Ramzan, is the 9th month in the Islamic calendar. It is a time when Muslims around the world focus on prayers, fasting, giving charity and religious devotion. All government, semi-government and private offices have arranged the new office schedules during the month of Ramadan. And moving on, in India's hilly state of Uttarakhand, 51 workers have been pulled out of snow from the site of an avalanche-hit BRO camp in Mana village in Chamoli district, but 4 of them died on Saturday as rescuers raced against time to trace 4 more labourers feared trapped. According to the latest rescue updates provided by the Uttarakhand State Disaster Management Authority, 5 labourers were missing, but one of them has reached home safely on his own, and now the search is focused on the 4 remaining workers. The avalanche hit the Border Road Organisation camp between Mana and Badrinath between 5:30 a.m. and 6 a.m. on Friday, burying 55 workers inside 8 containers in a shed, according to the army. Well, Guyana President Irfan Ali said that Venezuelan patrol vessels entered an ExxonMobil unit in maritime territory claimed by Guyana. Guyana President, in a state transmission, said that a Venezuelan armed patrol ship entered Guyana's waters, adding that during this incursion, the Venezuelan vessel approached various assets in our exclusive waters.
This morning, Saturday, 1st of March 2025, at approximately 7 hours, a Venezuelan armed patrol ship entered Guyana's waters. During this incursion, the Venezuelan vessel approached various assets in our exclusive waters, including FPSO Prosperity. Our assets and FPSO Prosperity are operating lawfully within Guyana's exclusive economic zone.
Well, moving on, thousands protest in the Serbian city of Nes in the latest mass student-led anti-corruption rally to rock the Balkan nation after the fatal collapse of a train station last year killed 15 people. For months, the movement has put increasing pressure on the Serbian government and President Aleksandar Vučić, spurring the resignation of several high-ranking officials, including the Prime Minister, in January. And President Nangolo Mabua of Namibia was among thousands gathered to mourn the country's independence leader, Sam Nujoma, as nearly a month of homage climaxed with a state funeral. Nujoma, the guerrilla leader who won independence for the desert nation from apartheid South Africa, died on February 9th, aged 95. Current President Mambamba said Nujoma has left behind the precious gift of freedom and independence for the people of Namibia.
Although our hearts remain laden with grief, we take solace that President Sam Nujoma, who will now rest among his fellow illustrious heroes and heroines, has completed his mission with distinction, fulfilling his destiny and leaving behind the most precious gift of freedom and independence for the people of Namibia. I salute you, Comrade Nujoma, a diamond of a Tunda village, for a life well lived in the service of the people of the Republic of Namibia, the region of SADC and the African continent.
Well, the UN Under-Secretary General of Peace Operations, Jean-Pierre Lacroix, on a visit to Beni in the east of the Congo, said that the United Nations Organization's stabilization mission in the Democratic Republic of the Congo is actively preparing to play a role in supervising compliance with the ceasefire.
I had told the President of the Republic, the Prime Minister, I reiterated here to Mr. Governor Monusco, is actively preparing to play a role in supervising the ceasefire, knowing that obviously a ceasefire, when it materializes, will require the commitment of the involved parties.
And the week-long Swayambhu Festival celebrations ends in Kathmandu Valley. Organized by Kathmandu Metropolitan, the festival highlighted the historical, cultural and religious significance of Swayambhu, a UNESCO heritage site in Nepal. It is a sacred pilgrimage site for Buddhists. The festival, themed Pride of Ancestors, Nepali Glory, featured cultural performances, traditional art exhibitions, indigenous cuisine, health camps, blood donations, Ranjana script writing and face painting activities. And now let's take a look at other stories making news around the world. Rio's carnival celebrations continued with a vibrant Amigos da Onca block party. Revelers gathered at Flamengo Beach for a lively procession featuring choreographed dances, tilt walkers and jaguar costumes. Attendees praised the event, calling it a highlight of the carnival. The festivities are part of Rio's 4-day carnival celebrations. The Florida Man Games have returned on Saturday, celebrating the state's eccentric reputation with unique events like human pong and lawn mower races. Contestants and spectators alike embraced the carefree spirit, calling it an escape from norms and a celebration of freedom and fun. Japan transformed into a kaleidoscope of colors as cherry blossoms unfurled, signaling spring's arrival. Visitors flocked popular spots to revel in the fleeting beauty. Unseasonably warm weather swept the nation, with temperatures soaring in Fukuoka, Tokyo and Osaka. The spring-like conditions have brought in a welcome warmth, inviting all to bask in the season's beauty. A spectacular display of the aurora borealis illuminated the night sky in the Canadian Arctic, approximately 30 kilometers from Inuvik. The dazzling lights were visible along the highway to Tuktoyaktuk in the Northwest Territories, treating observers to a mesmerizing natural wonder. And moving on, India's Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal on Saturday said world's AI journey will be incomplete without India. He was speaking at Mumbai Tech Week 2025. He added India is the 4th largest adopter of AI in the world on Saturday, adding that the nation will be at the front of the artificial intelligence age.
The world's AI journey will be incomplete without India. Many countries recognize that. We are the 4th largest adopter of AI in the world today. I dare say no effort to bring AI at the center stage of our lives could be complete without some Indians playing a role somewhere along the chain. And therefore, your capabilities are well recognized, and India will be at the forefront of the AI age. Mumbai is the place where the international fiber optic underground cables have a landing zone. So for AI, what we talk in terms of data centers, investment in data centers, the hyperscalers, Mumbai is the preferred destination.
And now let's take a look at other stories making news in the country. Air India will resume direct flights to Tel Aviv from Sunday after suspending the services in August last year amid tensions in West Asia. The airline will operate 5 flights per week using the Boeing 787-8 Dreamliner aircraft that offer 18 flat beds in business class and 238 spacious cushioned seats in economy class. Delhi government has decided to ban fuel for vehicles over 15 years old after March 31st. This is to curb air pollution levels in the city. The government will also install gadgets at petrol pumps across the city which will identify vehicles older than 15 years. Moreover, installation of anti-smog guns to control pollution at Delhi airport and multi-story structures will be made mandatory. The popular Goa Carnival began on Saturday in the presence of Chief Minister Pramod Sawant. The carnival began with a float parade along the banks of Mandovi River. The 4-day-long event showcases the state's culture and helps to attract tourists. And still to come, DD India News Hour. Thousands evacuated as wildfire raged unabated in parts of northern Japan. Last-minute preparations continue for 97th Academy Awards.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the Economic Brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News. I'm Lipakshi Khurana, and moving on, thousands of people evacuated from parts of northern Japan as the country's largest wildfire in 3 decades raged unabated on Sunday after killing at least 1 person, officials said. Around 2,000 people fled areas around the northern Japan city of Ofinato to stay with friends or relatives, while more than 1,200 evacuated to shelters, according to the officials. Some reports estimated the fire had spread over 1,800 hectares. Aerial footage showed columns of white smoke billowing 4 days after the blaze first materialized, with military helicopters trying to douse them. And the 97th Academy Awards, also known as the Oscars, will take place on Sunday at the renowned Dolby Theatre in Los Angeles. As one of Hollywood's most anticipated nights, the event is set to celebrate cinematic achievements from across the globe. This year, the Oscars will be hosted by the Emmy Award-winning comedian and television personality Conan O'Brien, who will be hosting the ceremony for the first time. This year's nominations have highlighted a diverse range of talent, with Jacques Audiard's Emilia Perez leading the pack with 13 nominations. The film features Carla Sofa Gascon, the first openly trans woman to be nominated for an acting award. Other films like The Brutalist and Wicked are also competing with 10 nominations each. One of the most significant nominations this year is for Anuja, a short film produced by Guneet Monga and Priyanka Chopra, which has secured a historic spot in the Best Live Action Short Film category. Film enthusiasts worldwide eagerly await the awards show to see who will take home the coveted gold statues. An exhibition depicting atrocities on Bangladeshi Hindus and other minorities was organized at Vivekananda International Foundation in India's capital, New Delhi. Art of Living founder Sri Ravi Shankar visited the exhibition. He said the amount of condemnation of the atrocities on the Bangladeshi minorities is less. He said that the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi himself is trying his best to establish peace in Bangladesh.
Yeah, I'm sure our government, Modi ji, will definitely take action on this, very much aware of what's happening there, and is very concerned also. I think he's very concerned. I hope he will definitely take action.
And you're watching DD India News. Our time now for some sports news. As India and New Zealand prepare to battle for the top spot in Group A of ICC Champions Trophy, fans can expect a high-octane clash between 2 informed teams on Sunday in Dubai. With both sides already securing semi-final berths, this encounter serves as a perfect dress rehearsal for the knockout stage. And India correspondent Narayan Singh joins us for more on the match. Well, Narayan, with New Zealand often being a stumbling block for India in past ICC tournaments, how challenging is the match today for India and to secure the top spot in the group especially?
Good morning, Lipakshi. As you mentioned, definitely in the past also we saw the way New Zealand posed threat for India, especially in the ICC events. Definitely New Zealand has been Achilles heel for the India in the ICC tournament, but this time around it's an advantage India in the Dubai, because India has played their previous 2 matches in Dubai and won both the matches, first against Bangladesh, then against Pakistan. So, but talking about New Zealand, this team is also looking balanced. They have the quality spinners. Talking about India's previous opponent, Bangladesh and Pakistan, they don't have the quality spinners, but New Zealand in the form of Santner, Glenn Phillips, and also the way the Bracewell is bowling in the spinning department, definitely they are looking good. And most importantly, New Zealand has a quality batsman who can play spin very well. In the past, when they visited India for the 3-match test series, they whitewashed India first time in a 3-match series. So they have the quality batsmen who can play spin, and they have the quality spinners too. And the Dubai pitch is favorable for spinners because it gets closed down, and in the evening time there is no dew. So multiple factors will be coming to account when this match will took place in the Dubai International Stadium at 2:30 p.m. with IST. But India, the way they got the form, their key players came into the form, especially Virat Kohli scoring century against Pakistan. So that was a concern for the India. But we know that Virat Kohli is the man on the big occasion, and today he will play his 300 ODI international match. So it will be another milestone thing for him. But this Indian team has the quality, the players are in form, and so today we are hoping that they will do some experiments, especially they can bring the Varun Chakravarti and here, so that it's a mystery element will also come into play against New Zealand. And we know that New Zealanders are not up to the mark against the wrist spinners, and India can also make their batting depth strong by bringing Rishabh Pant in this match. So they have to do something because New Zealand is the most composed side in this tournament. And here we saw in the past also India lost to New Zealand in the 2019 World Cup semi-final. No one can forget that thing. And also the World Test Championship final, they lost to New Zealand. And the one time when they faced New Zealand in the Champions Trophy, that was 2000. They lost. So New Zealand was always a threat to India in the knockout stages, but this is a group match. But they can take the lessons from the blueprint of the 2023 World Cup, where they defeated New Zealand in the group stage and as well as in the semi-finals. So there should be a definite role for each and every player. Rohit Sharma going for a big shot right from the start, and then Shubman Gill, Virat Kohli just playing a role of the sheet anchor. And down the order, we have a strong middle order and a strong batting depth. So it's going to be all in all a tough contest for the New Zealand too. And first time India will be tested in this tournament because the previous two matches were against the Bangladesh and Pakistan. Both the sides were not up to the mark. But New Zealand, the kind of cricket they had played in the recent past, they won the series against the various nations in the one-day bilateral series. So going to be a cracker of a match.
All right, so Indian team is definitely informed. Thank you so much, Narayan, for all those details. And South Africa outclassed England in their final Champions Trophy 2025 game, sealing their spot in the semi-finals with a crushing 7-wicket victory. England were bowled out for only 179 as Marco Jansen led the charge with 3 wickets. Heinrich Klaasen and Rassie van der Dussen slammed half-centuries each as South Africa chased it down in just 29.1 overs. England captain Jos Buttler steps down, having lost 7 ODIs in a row and finishing bottom of Group B. Afghanistan were also knocked out, with Australia finishing second in the group. And the Indian deaf cricket team, along with their counterparts from South Africa and Australia, came together for a special interaction ahead of their upcoming Tri-Nation series in New Delhi. The event highlighted their inspiring journeys and underscored the growing recognition of deaf cricket on the global stage. Here's a report.
Cricket is more than just a sport. It is a unifying force that transcends barriers. In a remarkable celebration of inclusivity and sporting excellence, the Indian deaf cricket team welcomed their counterparts from South Africa and Australia in New Delhi. This special event provided a unique opportunity to showcase the inspiring players and coaches who continue to redefine the game. The teams are training ahead of their much-anticipated Tri-Nation cricket tournament from March 2 to March 8.
We've had a lot of training back home. The players all play in different states, so it's been challenging to see them together. So they've been training really hard in their own environments, and we've been together last month at the National State Championships, and the last week we've been together as well. So it's been really good.
मैं पहले भी इंडिया आ चुका हूँ 2008 में यहाँ चैंपियंस ट्रॉफी हुई थी उसका भी मुझे एक्सपीरियंस है अभी हमारी यहाँ पर इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर काफ़ी अच्छा है ग्राउंड काफ़ी अच्छा है काफ़ी अच्छा महसूस हो रहा है यहाँ आने के बाद
Over the past years, the Indian deaf cricket team has achieved significant milestones, displaying their dominance on the field. They triumphed in multiple series, including a historic series win against England and Sri Lanka. Their victories have not only strengthened India's position in deaf cricket, but also served as an inspiration for many players.
मेरा ऐसा मकसद नहीं था कोच बनने का, बस प्लेयर बनने का था कि प्लेयर देश के लिए खेलूं। फिर मैं नहीं खेल पाया तो फिर मैंने कोचिंग में आ गया। तो मैंने कि मैं नहीं खेल पाया तो मैं चाहता हूं कोई ऐसे बच्चे जो देश को दूं, जो बच्चे आगे देश का नाम करें। फिर बाय द वे मैं 5-6 साल से इंडिया टीम के लिए काम कर रहा हूं, डेफ टीम के लिए।
मैं बोलने सुनने वालों के साथ प्रैक्टिस करता था, लेकिन इतना हमें ज़्यादा वो माहौल नहीं मिलता खेलने का, कैसे करें क्या ना करें। फिर IDCA ने डेफ लोगों को आगे बढ़ाने के लिए किया तो हमारा इसमें चयन हुआ, तो बहुत अच्छा लगा। फिर हम UK भी गए, UK से जीत के आए। श्रीलंका को हमने यहाँ हराया, कई सारी सीरीज जीते।
During the interaction, players and coaches shared their personal journeys, shedding light on the challenges they have faced and the determination that has driven them to success. The event also highlighted the growing support for deaf cricket, with initiatives aimed at increasing accessibility and opportunities for differently abled athletes.
This interaction was a celebration of resilience, passion, and the ability of sports to break barriers. As the teams prepare for the Tri-Nations tournament, the deaf cricketing will shine on the global stage. With cameraman Jagdev Singh, this is Meher Raj Singh for DD India, Delhi.
All right, time now to say goodbye. But before we go, we take you to Brazil, where samba schools paraded during the second day of the annual carnival on Saturday in an event filled with glitter, music and dancing at Rio's Sambadrome. Take a look.